Yo, 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 and happy Monday, and welcome to Across the Hobby. I'm your host, Adam Gray. As always, this week we're going to look at the best or the biggest 100 auctions that just ended last week. And we're going to look at about 200 to 250 auctions that are ending this week. And today we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to jump right into it. First off, we're going to look at the biggest auctions that ended last week on Fanatics Collect. And we're just going to look at the first page. I'm starting at the top here, but I meant to start at the bottom. Let me scroll back down here. So this is sorted by highest to lowest. All of these cards ended yesterday. So let's look at the top 24 biggest cards or biggest items that ended yesterday. Start out with a Jaden Daniels patch graded by CGC, a Steph Curry flawless. This one's the green number /5 autograph patch from 2018, 18,600. A Bowman Chrome 2018 baseball case for 18,600. Then we get to some Pokemon stuff. A 4.5 Jackie Robinson for 20,000. The Centurions Kobe was really interesting. I've made the case. I think that this is probably the second best, finest refractor for Kobe Bryant. I think you can make the case that it's between this and the 97 Goldin Boss. There's another one that's called Team Finest that there's a gold refractor version of that I think is 25, and that's probably the best Kobe Finest refractor. But as far as aesthetics go, this one's really the nicest, and at least in my opinion it is. And it's a gem PSA 10, which is a pop 6. So you get almost $20,000 for that card. Definitely a big sale. The Messi Mega Cracks in a 7 is now a $21,000 card. It wasn't that long ago the 8s were like 10 to 12 grand. So we've seen a lot of movement there. One of the more interesting sales comes with this Lionel Messi. This one's a PSA 10, sold for $22,800. The reason that it's interesting is the same card with almost the exact same patch, really like basically the exact same patch, but in a PSA 9, sold for $15,000. The Justin Herbert NTRPA base, really nice patch with 4 colors, but does $22,200 for BGS 9. Okay, now we're getting to some of the higher ones here. I think we're to the top 12 now, or top 15. This is actually one of the most expensive Kobe Bryant select cards ever. If I did my research right, other than the one that's like him flying through the air and dunking with the autograph that was made a few years later, besides those ones, there's only been one Kobe select ever to sell for more than this. And not shockingly, it's a card from 2012. So here's this one at 23,400. Another thing that is sort of a theme of this auction is that we're seeing some of the other 04 Messi cards sell for a lot, especially in ultra high grade. You don't recognize this one probably as well as you do this one that we just went past down here, but in a PSA 10, it just sold for $24,000. Really nice Brady autograph out of Flawless, number /10. Sells for $24,000. This Tiger I highlighted in my top 10. It's just a beautiful, beautiful card. Exquisite, knocked this design out of the park. His autograph is unreal. Aesthetically, it's one of the nicest looking Tiger cards you're ever going to see. It's $24,600. The Kobe Bryant 2014 Flawless Gold patch autograph. I always highlight this set because they just made so many of these cards out of really nice hollow foil, not just the gold, but I think the regular version out of 20 they did as well, if I'm not mistaken. So this one does 25,200. Another 2004 Mega Cracks, another one, another Messi from 2004 in a PSA 10 that we don't know as well, sells for 25,800. The reason that I highlight those ones, or the story behind those ones to me, is that people have been so focused on this card. Inevitably, what happens whenever there's a tremendous amount of focus around a specific set or a specific player or a specific card, people start looking at the things that are like really close to that, the things that are from the same set, similar players, similar cards. And so it's not shocking to see some of these other ones really take off. Okay, now we're to the top 9. The Michael Jordan 06 autograph patch. This was a PSA 8 with no autograph grade. Does 26,400. A Kobe 2019, not even playing days, Kaboom. I believe this is his last Kaboom in a BGS 9.5, 27,600. A Tom Brady out of 1,000 rookies and stars, but the story here is that it's a PSA 10, $28,800. The Tim Duncan, we saw a Tim Duncan PMG Red recently sell for a really big number. This is the PMG Champ. in a PSA 8, very high grade, $35,400. We're seeing some bigger numbers out of Tim Duncan. There's no denying it. And it's interesting because I pointed this out last week when I was talking about my friend MK Sports Cards, who says, it always just comes down to how good the player is in the end, or I don't want to misrepresent him, something like that. I don't really believe that that's true, but it is certainly the case that we see some guys that were great performers, some of the all-time greats, gain market share as time passes. And you can't deny that. This Tim Duncan, really big sell at $35,400. An 8 of the Messi, $36,000. Really an unbelievable Brady here, 10-10 grade. I don't know, I can't remember how many of them there are, but there's not many. I've always loved the signature on this, though. People don't like that he's in his Michigan uniform, and I just don't mind it at all. I love that, before Brady was the guy that everybody in the world came to know, he was this quarterback for Michigan that was not supposed to be an all-time great. And when he signed this card, no one had any clue how good he would be. So that one does $52,800. And then the biggest 3 cards of the week, really an interesting trio here. At number 3, one of Kobe's 2 black gold cards in existence, and one of the very few that's a PSA 10. I think it might be the only PSA 10 black gold Kobe. It is, you can see here, it's the only one from 2018. The other year, I think it's 2019, that he has a black gold. And I'm not sure if he has any PSA 10s on that. So this one does almost $60,000, $57,600. The Ferenc Puskas PSA 6 sells for $60,000. And then a card that, if I'm not mistaken, a sticker, if I'm not mistaken, we might have seen on the Golden Touch Netflix show a couple of years ago. This is a PSA 6 Ronaldo 1 of 1. How would you like opening a sticker pack that was a couple of bucks and to pull a $78,000 sticker? Unbelievable. There's your top 24 from Fanatics Collect last week. Let's look at the top 20 something from the Goldin Elite. So this ended on Saturday. I know a lot of you were staying up late to watch it with me. We're going to count down the biggest sales, and we're just going to look at the first page. And in the first page, you can see the end of the first page is this Kobe Bryant silhouettes. So we've seen some big numbers from silhouettes recently. I think it's interesting. As we move from the Panini era, one of the questions that people are going to ask is, what matters from this era? And there's subsets of that question, like what autograph patches matter from this era? And so the question that I would ask is, do the silhouettes, or does silhouettes as a brand matter from the Panini era? I don't know. I'm not sure. I really went after the first year silhouettes Kobe that was up 2-3 months ago now. At least I wanted to go after it. I can't even remember if I ended up bidding, but I did really want it. And then it went really high. But that was because it was a first year card. This is not a first year card, right? This is a 4th year card. The first year that they made him was 2010, but it is the prime. It's numbered to 10. It's a really high grade, and it's a great looking card. $60,000 at this point is what that sells for. Superfractor of Bellingham sells for $60,000. Here's another one that's worth focusing on. Kobe MJ dual PSA 8 with 10 autograph, and you get the game jerseys as well. And because it's from 2002, 2003, you can say, hey, this is a dual autograph playing days card of these two. How many of those cards are there? Not very many, especially with a piece of uniform. So, and especially in a PSA holder. So that at this point is a $60,000 card. Pretty awesome. Next up, we have the Cal Raleigh. There was some good content that was made on this. I believe the story on this one is that this card was purchased a couple of years ago for $300, and now here it is selling for $63,000. The Dirk final year Logoman auto out of Flawless, 1 of 1. Really an interesting piece for a Dirk collector. This is not an insignificant piece. It's a big deal card. I don't love the image of Dirk, but Dirk never is. He's not Rodman. He's not Jordan. He's not Vince Carter. He's not one of these guys who's going to photograph as well, right? But this is Dirk at the very end. This is Dirk right as he's, in the league with rookie Luka at this point. And, you've got to love the flawless design, the holofoil around the window. Great looking autograph. Everything about the card's wonderful. But as a bookend card for Dirk's career, it's especially interesting because look how many autograph logo man cards does he have at the very end? Playing days cards. I don't think he has a ton, but it's still interesting. It's still like how many times do you see a Dirk Nowitzki card sell for $63,000? Not many times. That will be very high on his list of all-time highest selling cards. A booklet card, a really nice booklet card. Look at that piece of the Patriots logo, the Brady autograph. I think it's a 1 of 1. Oh no, it's 2 of 5. Excuse me. $67,000 on that card. A Wemby Mercury, one of the better Mercury cards we've seen in a bit, but still not like one of the 1 of 1s. Really a pretty big sale here. Is it because it's a pop one? $67,000 for a Wemby. Sorry, my big head's in the way there. So $67,000 for that Wemby card. Oh, I'm not going to do that. And then a Jeter that I think a lot of people really love. This card has a couple things going for it that are undeniable. One, you have the image of Jeter in front of the Statue of Liberty, which is really just a nice touch. And then two, because baseball didn't have the reds and the greens the way that basketball and football did, this pattern, which for baseball is just called the Metal Universe set, basketball it's called the Metal Universe Championship set. This is the first Jeter PMG. It's one of the nicest looking cards really from baseball from that era. I think everybody loves this card. And so in a PSA 7 at this point, it's a $68,000 card. Another Topps Mercury Wemby. This is one of the Superfractors. And WA5 Wemby Superfractor. No grade on the autograph, which is normal with Wemby because he streaks across it. But the card's graded a 10, and that does almost $75,000. I got to move a little bit faster here. Sorry, guys. You can see the the Yamal sells for almost $80,000. Duel with LeBron and Jordan with the dual jerseys. Number 41 out of 50. This is at 1010. That's big reason why it sells for $81,000. Another Yamal, 5 of 5, $85,000. This LeBron, I saw some content done on it after the sell. It's a big sell for a LeBron solo card at this point. It's also pretty rare to have a 9/5/10 on a limited logos with a patch that's that nice. Almost does 100,000. I love this Mahomes. This is a white box. Wow. So this is not a Mahomes autograph that was from the original product. It was later put into one of the white boxes with the 1 of 1 sticker on the back. Still an elite looking front of the card and still almost grabs $100,000. This card was the number 10 card on my top 10 list and really stood out to me as one of the more unique cards in the auction. We don't see a lot of Tiger autographs on this card. There's just not a lot of them out there. This one is one of two PSA 1010s, and that's why it yields almost $100,000. It's an interesting sell, especially right on the heels of the 8x10, not the 8x10, the photo that was sold. That photo, that Type 1 photo that sold for a couple of $100,000. And so to see that as close to this one is interesting to see them up at the same time. A big sell on this Jordan. This has got to be the most expensive Jordan floor card of all time. Well, no, there's the 1 of 1 Jordan floor cards made I think the same year, right? Were they 99 or were they 2000? The 1 of 1 floor cards, one of the biggest chases that year. But besides those 1 of 1s, I think this might be the highest. The energy around the Jordan autograph market right now is palpable. People are really excited. I had somebody offer me a Jordan autograph last week for a card that I've never even considered moving, and I had to think about it because of where that market has gone. And I think people just generally would love to have big time Jordan autographs right now. I'm glad I have my one. It's very deep in my collection, not coming out. I've had a lot of people come after it recently. And I shouldn't say a lot. I've had a couple of people come after it recently, but come after it pretty hard. The really rare Jordan autograph stuff is tough right now, guys. It's really tough. So that's a big sell on that card. That's more than I would have expected that it would sell for, just from a high level perspective. But yeah, big sell. I love this Mahomes. This is 1 out of the 99. I always talk about how much I like the 25 more than the 99. So that's the thing that I think has going against it. But from an evenness perspective on that patch, he just doesn't have very many that are nearly as nice as this. That's a great looking card. Another one of the biggest cards of the night, the Logoman LeBron James from 07 SP Game Used. $146,000 this card sells for. One of the things that I tried to highlight on this with the reel that I did that I think is lacking in understanding is the Upper Deck had a strategy for how they issued Logomen. Panini has had a strategy too, by the way, but they've just used so many more jerseys. They have so many more Logomen than they had in the Upper Deck era. But back in 2007, there was a clear discipline the Upper Deck had. They had multi-Logoman cards go into Exquisite, autographed single Logoman cards go into Ultimate, and single Logoman cards without autographs go into SP Game Used. And I think people know the first two parts of that. I don't think they really realize the SP Game Used portion. This is obviously a different kind of looking Logoman. You have like not the same colors that you're used to seeing. And so I think it's like from an alternative jersey. I couldn't figure that out exactly. What I am sure of is that $146,000 for a LeBron Logoman card like this does feel like a lot to a lot of people, but to me, it's about where I sort of anticipated. I don't think this is like a crazy sale. This is sort of what I anticipated because it's a 1 of 1, and it's one of those SP Game Used ones. People want Upper Deck era. They just do. All right, now we're to the top 6 items of the night. We have this Bulls Type 1 photo, really an interesting autograph with a personalized signature. I'm not sure I've ever seen a personalized signature sell for that much money, but that iconic image with that Jordan autograph, I mean, it's special. Over 200 grand. A duel here with MJ LeBron. This one's numbered out of 23 with 4 patches on it. Great looking autographs. PSA 8, $213,000. Now, the card that I got the most messages about by a mile. I don't know how many people messaged me about this card, but it was not 2 or 3. It was like closer to 10 people messaged me about this card. So 03 Ultimate, numbered 8 of 8. I did a reel on this, and the thing that I pointed out about this card was that last year we had the Logoman autograph from the same set, the very first Ultimate Collection Kobe Bryant Logoman autograph ever, sold for $1.5 million. Now, the thing that I didn't say, and I'll say it to this audience because I can sort of like, I can preface it a little bit and I can have like more of an open conversation than I can in my reels. I think some people don't realize with the reels, they have to be so tight. They have to be so quick. That's what's really required for that kind of social media. I don't always get to say everything, right? I try to say everything that I think is the most important, but it's really like hard to figure out. Like I'll wordsmith stuff forever on those reels, guys, like forever. I don't think people realize how long those reels take. In fact, I'll tell you guys, my average reel takes between 4 and 5 hours to make a 60-second piece of content. They take a long time. So with that said, on this card, what I talked about here was, look, this is under the same umbrella, the same parallel, so not the same parallel, but the same umbrella as the Logoman autograph that sold last year. And it sold last year for $1.5 million. What I didn't say, sorry, this is what I was trying to get to. What I didn't say, because it's sort of hypey, it certainly, I think we would expect it to sell for significantly more today than it did then. And people who were like naysayers would say, no, Adam, you're just saying that because you have a Kobe Logoman autograph. And that's a fair point. But I would say that because the market has changed dramatically in the last year, like dramatically at the ultra high end. And it's not just because of that dual Logoman auto that we saw in the last 12 months. The ultra high end is so crazy much higher than it was 12 months ago. So I like that Logoman auto. If it was to sell today, I don't know what it would sell for, but it would sell for, I believe it would sell for way more than it did back then. So with that said, how does this compare to that? Well, Ultimate that year, they did, I don't know how many years they did this. I need to research this, but they had like a basic Ultimate Signatures card of Kobe that he actually signed hundreds of. I think if I remember right, he has like around 300 in the combined pop report on Gem Read. And then there's 2 other levels, right? So there's the level that's the 300, and it's a great looking card, and on its own, it sells for a few grand. It's wonderful. And then way rarer than that is the Ultimate Gold Signatures, and that's this card. And there's 8 of them. And that, this card in any version would sell for really good money. But I had one friend in particular who was like, man, Adam, I can't believe how much this stuff is up. Like $220,000 for a Kobe Bryant autograph out of 8. And what I kept saying to him was, and I said it a few different ways, but I just want to make this really clear. This sold for 220 grand because it is numbered 8 of 8. It's not a throwaway thing. It's not like, oh, that's really cool. To the biggest Kobe Bryant collectors, let me change that. To some Kobe Bryant collectors, that 8 of 8 is like all the difference in the world. There are people who don't really care about owning this card that much, but in the 8 of 8 would go gaga for it. So did this number surprise me? Not really. It didn't. It's a good sale. It's a strong sale. Would it have shocked me if it would have sold for half as much? No, it wouldn't have shocked. So like it's a strong sale. I feel like really good about where this ended up from if I was a seller, I would feel like, wow, this is a great sale. But this overall total price doesn't shock me because people want stuff that sets their collection apart. They want things where you look at the card and go, oh, wow, that's different. That's really easy to tell a story about. And for this card, it's like, look, the best version of this card is the Logoman autograph. It is worth several $1 million. I don't know how many million, but it's worth several $1 million. And this card is probably the second best card in the whole product for Kobe Bryant. Truly. Also in 03 Ultimate, you get the LeBron Logoman rookie and the LeBron horizontal that's from the Logoman set that's also worth millions of dollars. So of the Jordan that sold for $3 million. So is 03 Ultimate a big set? It is. It's a really big set. Some of the biggest basketball cards of all time came from the product. And to have the second best Kobe Bryant card from the whole thing, I think it's really cool. Okay, I took too long on that. The triple autograph, $341,000. We already know what this is. To see a really nice copy of this sell for so much to sell for what it sold for is not shocking. There's 106 triple autographs of these guys signed on card with nobody else. And so 341 grand. Okay. Maybe the two biggest stories of the night, though, certainly the two cards that sold for the most. The Messi Select Black. I saw Chris McGill tweet that this was the highest. No, I think he said it's the highest select card ever. I think he said that. And so that's really interesting. $427,000 for a black select Messi. Soccer is fun because I remember there was a time where soccer was so obviously like something that was going to take off. It was so obvious that people were going to go gaga for soccer at some point. I remember I had a conversation with a coworker, my good friend Curtis Byer, back at Strata, a place that I worked at a long time ago, 10 plus years ago. And I remember when the first year of Prism was coming out, and I looked at him and I was like, dude, if we ever wanted to make just a ton of money, we'd buy 100 boxes of that and we'd sit on it for the next 20 years. And boy, do I wish we would have done it. Soccer was always obviously going to be the big play. And now here we are. But like Messi blacks just sell for crazy numbers, just insane numbers. I don't think you can tell the same story anymore. Like soccer has really matured. I'm not saying it doesn't have farther to go. I don't really know. I don't know how to tell that. But what I know is the high end of soccer, you've got some dudes that are spending money. And then, of course, the Shohei, the finest with that kanji autograph. Kanji, I mean, there's big money spenders on Shohei too, guys. We talk about the Kobe and the Jordan market being like the end all be all, but I'll tell you what, guys like Shohei and Messi sure have their own collectors. All right, so that's it for Goldin last week. And we've talked about Goldin. We've talked about Fanatics. We're going to run through these last few a lot faster. So let's look briefly at all of the over $5,000 items last week for MC Sports Cards. We start out with, I'm not going to pronounce this name perfectly, but Ilya Topuria, PSA 9, UFC rookie. This is the lucky envelopes out of 8 parallel for $15,000. Apparently there's a story there. I'm not a UFC guy, but apparently, $15,000 on UFC cards is a big deal, guys. A mantle gets bought. Somebody hits the buy it now or best offer. Not exactly sure on that or on the Jordan. Here's some national boxes that sold and another buy it now. Okay, now we have a LeBron from downtown, first year PSA 10, $10,700. I remember looking at the populations on these, excuse me, and being like, yeah, it's too high for me to have interest in it. And yet it just doesn't matter how high the populations are on some of these case hit inserts, they just keep selling for crazy money. I was in the market, like looking at the early Panini era stuff for LeBron and Kobe 10 years ago. And I just was like, what do I want? And then as the years went by, these other sets that came out, I just thought there's just too many of them for it to ever really take off. But the market just keeps going on them. It's really interesting. It's really amazing. Bonix for 10,500, a Messi and a newer BGS 8 for 14,000, Jordan and a BGS 8 newer label 7,800, and then you get some really interesting 86 autographs here. A Vestergaard's Derek Smith 6'6" does $5,100. Dan Roundfield for 8,600. My personal favorite, the David Stern signed checklist at $5,100. And then last Monday at their MC Mondays, you got a whole bunch of big sales. Big Shohei sale to 10,000 right there. The Very Lucky Black Cat does $56.55. Justin Herbert Kaboom rookie year $5,200. Ty Cobb for $5,700. I love this Ruth. We talked about it last week, $6,200. We talked about this Jordan last week, the heavy lifting the PSA 10 did, $7,200. The Jordan Merchante, talked about that one, PSA 6, $5,300. And the Gronkowski, $5,985. One of the bigger sales of Gronkowski ever, for sure. I need to look that up to see where it landed, like all time, but it's very, very high on the list for certain. Skeens for $7,700. Jamar Chase for $9,300. A Mantle 8.5, really big card, gets bought out for some number. All right, now we're going to move. There's just a couple of cards at hoodies that I wanted to hit real quick. The Drake May True Rookie Tag Patch, no autograph, just the patch, $5,700. It is a 1 of 1. And the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander patch auto to 10 for $7,700. Then we hit alt. Guys, I'm tempted to go through all of alt or like a whole page because there's so many big sales. Let's just limit it to these first couple because I've taken longer than I meant to. Really a big, giant, crazy sale. Payment's been initiated on it. This is the Jaw Logoman. No autograph, but it is from his rookie year, and it is game used. $138,000. It's a lot of money for a Jaw in 2025. We just don't see that as much. But we see, you guys can see, people have really moved. The high end has moved more towards this 1 of 1 stuff. His gold prism wouldn't sell for this. And I think that's interesting. Like, is it interesting to you guys that a Jaw 1 of 1 logo man from 2019 sells for way more than his gold prism? Like way, way more? Maybe like 8 times as much? 5 times as much, something like that. I think that's interesting. This is a sticker, dual sticker auto of LeBron Jordan. It's $9,600 pending. That's not, I think that means that it's not paid yet. Joe Burrow, but remember, this is just on Thursday. Joe Burrow, $8,800. Gosh, that's a pretty card. Steph, 9.5 pending. This Kobe, though, sold. It's been paid for. The Black Mamba signature does $72,000 in a BGS 9. Man, I missed the boat on the Black Mamba signatures. I've wanted one forever as a big Kobe collector. I've tried a number of times and just never been willing to pony up. And I think I've missed the boat. There's 10 of these. It's not that rare. I mean, it's rare. $72,000. The Chet, I love this card. $56,000. That to me is the buy of the auction. I would rather have that than most of the. I'd rather have this Chet Holmgren. That card, the Chet Holmgren is my favorite card out of the top 6. I love all 6 cards. The Chet's my favorite card of all of them. The Jeter 9. I think this was quite the. A lot less than it sold for last time. I might be mistaken, but $48,000 on that seems like it might be a good deal. All right, look at this LeBron sale. Payment initiated, $45,600. Check out this Luka sale. Gold, $44,000. LeBron gold from 2016. Not anybody's favorite year of gold prism, $43,000. It's partly because of the PSA 10. I love the Jokic sale. I like this Jokic more than almost any card that's above it. $42,000 on that for the 1 of 1. And there's so many good cards that we could talk about it all. We're going to stop there, though. And that is all of the big sales from last week. I don't have any other. I sort of have this Google page is like my landing page for my random thoughts that are in between the sales from last week and the big sales from this week. I don't think I have any big comments for this week. I think what I want to do is spend a lot of time on the Goldin 100, which is toward the end of this episode. Guys, this is a huge week of auctions we have coming up. You've got the Goldin 100, and then you've got all the other normal stuff that we have, all the other weekly sort of stuff. So we're going to try to hit 200 to 250 items here in the next hour. We're 29 minutes. We're going to try to do this in the next hour. Guys, ready? Take a breath. Here we go. Okay. So to start off, we have, I'm going to hit refresh here just so we have the right numbers. We have a Paige Beckers. This is the National VIP. The autograph's on a sticker. She's got a really pretty autograph, though. Number 2 out of 2. And then what we have is my card. This card, I looked it up just to make sure that I would share the data on this right today. This card has been in my collection since 2021. I thought it was longer ago than that, but most of my Eminence stuff I've had since 2015, 2016. But the Wade, it was 2021 that I bought this card. It showed up on eBay for a buy it now, or with a high buy it now, and I talked the guy down to $2,500. So I paid $2,500 for it. And why am I selling it? I'm selling it because I have a big card that I've been working on paying for. I do not get to get the card until I pay for the card. So I'm selling all sorts of stuff. And this is one of them. It's like, I don't want to sell that. I love this set. The Gilded Graph set is aesthetically, I would argue, the nicest the nicest solo autograph set from the whole Panini era. That's what I believe. I believe that. People didn't like Eminence from the first year for some reasons. They don't like the big card. They don't like the thick cards. They don't like that the cases are sometimes scuffed. But nobody said anything negative about the aesthetics of the Gilded Graphs autographs. It's just a phenomenally just gorgeous set. Wade's autograph is fantastic. In fact, let's look at this one more in detail. Thank you guys for entertaining my thoughts on my own card here. I obviously would love to see it sell really well. It is significantly less than what I anticipated it was going to sell for. If it sells for anywhere close to here, I'm going to be feeling pretty negative about it, just because, like I said, I paid $2,500 for it. But because the way that everything else has grown, specifically within the original Eminence set, I thought this would sell for way more than it. I also have a Dirk from this set that sort of keeps that spot in my collection. And then I have another Wade that sort of fills that spot in my collection. And as I'm working to pay for something that I really want in my collection, it's really hard to figure out what to sell. Well, this one, I just looked at it and I was like, I already have a Wade and I have another Gilded Graphs 1/1. And so I reluctantly sent this one off to MC Sports Cards, sitting at $12.85. I mean, this is not that much more than what his autographs out of 10 sell for out of 2014 Eminence. I think other than the Olympic 1/1 card, you have an argument that this is the best Dwayne Wade card from 2014 Eminence. And it's sitting at $12.85. So anyway, that's my plea to you guys to go give me $1 million for this card. No. But if you're a Wade collector and you want to own, you want to see one of the nicest looking Dwayne Wade cards ever, this is all holofoil. It's all etched holofoil, the whole thing. With Eminence, you get just more holofoil than you could ever want, right? And some people don't like that. I love it. I love the holofoil. What other people don't like is they don't like the gold autographs from the first year. But this isn't gold. It's a bright blue. It's been in the dark ever since I bought it. It's a great looking card, and I'm sad to see it go. Okay, thanks for entertaining me there. Let's pick out another 10 cards from MC that we really want to take a good, close look at. So this is an interesting one. Hank Aaron, 2017 Topps Archives postseason signatures. Now, this is not a buyback. Some of the archive autographs are buybacks, but you can see how sharp this one is. It is not. Still, it is an Aaron rookie. It is that famous image. I love the archive stamp. It's a great looking card. Joe Burrow, UD Exquisite. This is the tribute autographed RPA, numbered out of 99. Great looking card. I love this Jeter. I've seen it sell, maybe not in a PSA 10, but I've seen it sell fairly recently. I always love it because he was supposed to sign down here, but he signs up here. That's okay. Jeter could have put it down here, but he put them all up here. 10 grade, authentic auto, one of the earlier full autograph sets in baseball. To me, the Leaf Signatures autographs from 96 is like the autographic set in Skybox in basketball in 96. These sets with fairly large print runs, lots of fairly large checklist, not a huge print run, but not super small either. It's not like there's just 10 of these cards in existence. There's 19 PSA 10s, right? So just a huge piece. Justin Herbert, Contenders rookie, is an amazing card in hand. And I always say this about Justin Herbert. I don't know how all of his autographs are just flawless, but they all are. Kirby Puckett, bat knob / base or slash bat. Great looking booklet here. If you're a Puckett fan, you want to have something that you could display. It's going to be hard to find something as nice as this one. I love the hollow foil around the bat knob. Victor Wembanyama Bowman U autograph, currently at $615. Oh, a Joe Burrow Mosaic Nebula 1 of 1. A Joe Burrow National Treasures autograph from his rookie year. A Jason Tatum Optic Gold Vinyl 1 of 1. Remember, in football, most gold vinyls are to 5. In basketball, most gold vinyls are to 1. And so this is the true parallel from Optic that year, I believe. Yeah, I just don't know 2023 Optic as well. So that's a huge card for Tatum. You can make the case that's the biggest card out of 2023 Optic for Jason Tatum. In fact, I don't know you could make an argument that another card is. Mantle 54, Bowman color, PSA 5. That's a great looking, grade for that card. The card you can see is off-centered left to right, but still great card. PSA 8 on the big 3 here. Jordan Love Flawless, number to 10, almost $900 right now. Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, PSA 10. Man, Niner stuff. Wow, look at that. $2,200 for PSA 10. These case hits, man. Crazy. Okay, I've spent a lot of time recently sort of focused on the Steph Curry Topps rookie card. It's just sort of like became clear to me how much rarer it was than people realized. And this is another great example of that. People don't like BGS. They don't like BGS 9s. And here this card sits at over $1,000 for a base card. And it's like just as easy to find a base card as any other card was that year. This is not an ultra rare card. What it is, though, is still pretty rare, right? There's fewer than 10,000 that have been graded across all of the different graders, across all the different grades. So compared to the Topps LeBron rookie, it's 3 times as rare. Compared to the Kobe Topps rookie, it's like 7 times as rare in any form. And so, we're sort of reaching the point where people are like, I just want to own a Topps Curry rookie because there's a lot of people who would like to own one. And it's like, it's not rare, right? It's a Topps rookie, but it is rare compared to those other things. And so I've heard some people ask the question, and I've had several people ask me the question, well, like, why is he like so much more than LeBron? Why is he so much more than Kobe? I'm telling you right now, I'd rather have a Steph Curry BGS 9 than a PSA 10 of either Kobe or LeBron. It's not close to me. It might be close in price. It's not even close. In fact, this card is less. If it stays at this amount, this card is certainly less than a LeBron PSA 10 from his rookie year. I'd much rather have this. Again, because it's about rarity. Like, it's just so much more rare. The conditional rarity, it might be close. I'm out of water. That's not a good time for that. But as a whole, like the card as a whole, it's not even anywhere near. Shaq's 96 Legacy. I've always loved this card, and I've always loved this set. $1,500. If you want an ultra, like, cool-looking parallel from the 90s of Shaquille O'Neal and you don't want to spend $40,000 for it, you want to spend a couple of grand on it, this might be your best option. Hogan in a 5, no autograph, $1,000, man. The card of all wrestling cards. PSA 9 on the Jordan, $1,500. Look at that Gordie Howe. Man, that's a pretty card. PSA 9 from 63. Wow. $1,500. Tim Duncan. Actually, do they have a pop? Highest graded. So they say highest graded, but they don't give us a pop. We're going to check the pop on that. Duncan, $1,600 for his autographed second year card. I've always thought this is one of the most underrated cards. It's from the 90s. Tim Duncan's one of the greatest players of all time. $1,600. Patrick Mahomes, PSA 10, select gold. Amen Thompson, Contenders, premium blue, first off the line. Jordan Gold. The gold Jordan here is obviously a very cool card, but the story is that it's a Pop 47, PSA 10. Grover Alexander, signed postcard, $2,100. Ooh, a pistol autograph. There's something that I think a lot of people, at least a lot of people in the circles that I travel in, a lot of people really like that. It's nice. Marich doesn't have a lot of great autographs and stuff out there. He just doesn't. His original autographed cards, which is what I chose for my collection, are very few and far between. He's got less than 100 across all of the card graders or card authenticators and across all years. Not across all authenticators. I haven't checked it for Beckett because there's really no way to check it. But for PSA, look, he has cards from 1970 to like 1980. Yeah, 1970 tops to 1980 tops. So that's 11 years of cards. And if you look at most of the pops, it's like pop 3, pop 6. I think there's something like 60 to 70, maybe 80 total Maravich on-card autographs ever. So to get a check might be, for some people, the next best thing. Derek Jeter, SSP rare, numbered to 30 from 1998. Gosh, that's crazy. It's numbered to it's limited to 30. Excuse me, not numbered, but limited to 30 from 98. And Derek Jeter, and it's only $685. I love this Bo Jackson. Bo in his Raiders uniform, $756. Mahomes, the college card. We talked about this. Another one of these cards a couple weeks ago, $1475. Wemby out of 42, the pink Pulsar, 42 for some reason. $1875. Brandon Miller, number to 5. I would take the Brandon Miller over the Wemby. Wemby is going to be an all-timer, but like Brandon Miller has got a chance to be really good. Number to 5, one of his rarest parallels, and it's currently cheaper than the Wemby, which is not shocking. Jersey numbered Bo Nix, select, tie-dye rookie, $400. Ace Bailey, my guy, and Dylan Harper. I say my guy because I'm a big Jazz fan. This is from Bowman U, obviously, because they don't have NBA stuff at this point. These are supposed to be the second and third best players in the draft, but they were taken 2nd and 5th overall. We will see how good Ace Bailey can be with Utah Jazz. I'm very excited about it. Very McGrady-esque game. Very awesome game. I love this. We're going to skip a couple of these up here. I don't know quite as much about those. Kobe Bryant, PSA 7 with no coat or with coating. With coating. The coating's wonderfully placed. Yeah, let's look at that one. We're going to look at that one closer. Giannis, full-length autograph. Let's look at that one. Ooh, look at this quad autograph. Boy, if you're a Knicks fan, here's some different eras for you. You got everything from Walt Frazier all the way to Allen Houston. Very cool. Spanning 4 decades of Knicks greatness. Teams that either won the championship or at least went to the finals. That's a very cool piece. BGS 8 on the Messi. Some people don't like the old label white. I think it's great. I like knowing that it's been in that holder for a long time. But I do get the sense that some people might value the silver label more. 1 of 1, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Immaculate Dual Shields. That is a gorgeous card. I did not know those dudes, but I'm also not a football guy. Duel with Larry and Bill Russell. Gosh, that's cool. 3 out of 25. I love 05 Ultimate. Ken Griffey Jr., PSA 9 Refractor. Pop 53, just too higher. $750. Mariano Rivera, one of the most iconic baseball cards of the era, in my opinion. 1992 Bowman rookie with the autograph, and it's graded a 10-10. The question there, of course, is what is the population? And we're going to go look that up real quick. Look, another Jeter. In the same... They've got 2 PSA 10 Jeters up? Wow. That's crazy. That's insane. Cade Cunningham, game worn RPA. Eminence, like flawless for the NBA, is always game worn. That is a huge piece. Clay, 1 and 1 with all 3 of these guys out there. Let me see the image is there. I want to check that one out closely. Gosh, MC is huge this week. Ton of big stuff. I mean, we're still on the first page. I love that last Brady there that we saw for just a second. A Mahomes orange to 275. A Rodman showcase to 100. Barry Sanders immaculate autograph jersey or autograph patch. 1 color patch, but oh, I love that foil on that card. Numbered out of 25. Pop 1 Hank Aaron 2017. What is this? Is this originals? I don't think so. I don't think Hank Aaron had like some throwback card in 1987 tops, but maybe I'm mistaken. Bill Russell PSA 7. Man, guys, this auction's huge. I'm going to scroll down real quick here toward the end and see if anything else really stands out. Oh, this one really does. Got to look at that one. Man, we're going to go like 2 whole pages here. MC just doing just a ton of big cards, guys. Oh my goodness. And then the card of the night. So there's a Brady PSA 10, which will probably sell for the most. And another, why this has an MK on it? Let's see if we can find out what the MK is. Okay. and then this card right here. So we got about 10 cards to look at specifically for MC. And we'll go quick because we already sort of took a while. So let's see if this says down in the details how many of these are graded this high. So this Gordie Howe from 1963 Parkhurst, I can hear several of you guys right now just like straight up like leaving the stream. You were just leaving the stream because you were like, why is Adam looking at Gordie Howe cards? I'm not here to hear Adam talk about hockey cards. Well, I hear you, but look how pretty this card is. Like, it's really a nice looking card. And as I look it up on PSA's website, it's a pop 48. So there's no 10s, still 48. One of the greatest of all time. Unbelievable image. It's very cool. It's a very cool card. 19. Okay, so then here's the Maravich autograph. Great looking full Maravich autograph. $255 to Mental Lighting, Mental Lighting and Interiors Inc. April 4th, 1984. 4484. What a date. What a date on that Maravich autograph. Very cool. Interesting to see what that sells for. Some checks can be really fair, like not too expensive. So the story here on this Kobe is obviously that how off-centered it is. That's what makes it a 7. But if you don't mind the centering, I'll tell you what's great is the peel. Peel placement's fantastic. No jersey coverage whatsoever. Just get some of his arm over here. I really care about where those peel words end up, and I like the card with the peel. I like the card with the peel. I should talk about that sometime as to why. I love Giannis's full signature on here. Compare that to what it ends up looking like. He recently talked about that, which is kind of cool. I'm not going to look up the population on this, but I would recommend it. My guess is he's signed quite a few of these at this point, but how many 10-10s does he have? Probably not many. So this is Holiday. Holiday, Steph, and Clay. Clay going crazy. What's the story here? Putting up 37 during an entire game is impressive. Oh, this is when he scored 37 in a quarter. This is what that's commemorating. And that is why this is a $1,500 card. People love celebrating moments on a card like that. So there's a couple of these where there's a signature that's on a sticker. This is exactly what you want. And it's really 3 great teammates. The captain, Magic, and James Worthy. Numbered to 15. If I was a fan of 80s Lakers, I'm not sure there's a card that I would rather have than that one. The Messi, I want to see if we can find out what the mark is. Is it this down here? MK stands for like, I don't know if actually what it stands for, but I always think of it as mark. Like there's some sort of mark on the card. I should know this, but like, does this card usually have this stuff that's like, it sort of looks like it's like maybe he's kicking and there's like grass coming up or something. But I wonder if that's what the mark is. Huh. So not Rodman's most valuable PMG, but it's just as rare as the PMG champ from the year before. And it is still exceptionally rare. Ends in 11 hours. Huge piece. All right. We are looking for our 5 favorite cards of the week, by the way. So, and as we highlight the 5 favorite cards of the week, we'll get to the end and then and talk about like which of those 5 are my favorite. I always try to go through and say, okay, what auctions are most interesting to watch for different reasons. And the goal of the show really is to like highlight those things that are most interesting and talk about them in a way that might sort of explain to you why collectors go as gaga for them as they go. The other massive auction happening this week that's not normal is like not a weekly auction is the Hoodies monthly high-end auction, the Hoodies high-end auction. And you can see at the very top, and I may do content on this one this week, is this dual Jordan Kobe. Because what I really want to know is how many dual Jordan Kobe's are there in pertaining to this card? How many dual Kobe Jordan autographs are there from while they were both playing? And I think the answer to that will be pretty interesting. At least it will be to me. So see if I can do some content on that this week. We're going to look at that one more closely. The Jokic flawless rookie. obviously a huge piece. He just does not have as many rookie autographs as a lot of guys do. I've always loved this Barry, Walter Payton. We're going to take a good close look at that one. We're going to take a good close look at this Mahomes. Lamar Jackson, cracked ice, 5850. PSA 6 on the MJ Platinum Portraits. Great card. And a 6 is not a bad grade. We'll look at it and try to identify why it's a 6. My guess is we won't see much. The Jackie, PSA 2, very off-centered, but still great color and great card. PSA 6 on the Chamberlain. The Black Diamond version of the Muse jersey Walter Payton autograph. The Immaculate Jumbo Patch Auto from his rookie season, Luka. Oh, this is a big one. The Scoot Gold Prism. Straight up gold prism of Scoot Henderson. Guy who was the number 2 overall pick right after Wemby, had a real bounce back second half of last year. I don't know how big of basketball fans you guys all are, but I love following teams like the Blazers. Teams where people don't know them, like they don't know, how good this team is supposed to be, and they're filled with young guys, and some of those young guys end up like really giving some real effort and coming together and creating a team. That's what happened last year with the Blazers. They probably won more games than their management necessarily would have liked. I think they had their own pick, if I remember right. Yeah, because they ended up drafting the kid from China a lot higher than people expected. And then almost immediately, like, these experts are so funny, right? These experts, like, they act like they know exactly what these players are going to turn into. And on the night of the draft, I remember, like, the experts were like, oh, they shouldn't have drafted this kid. I forget what his name is. Like I said, it's a big kid from China. And then during then during Summer League, like, he was like the talk of the Summer League. So, how good is Scoot going to be is really the question on this card. And, going into the draft, he was easily the second best prospect. People just thought he was a can't miss guy. And now they're not as sure. But the last half of last year, I think, proved to people like Scoot might be really good. Might not be time to give up on Scoot just yet. And that's one of his best cards in existence. The Superfractor Shohei Transcendent. Anytime you get a Superfractor of Shohei with an autograph on it, it's going to be a huge deal. The Young Guns Crosby at $2,800. The Kobe, the first year of his game jersey cards. Yeah, that's true, right? Yeah, that's true. $2,788. Aaron Judge on card rookie autograph. The Luka Green, it is numbered 1 out of 5. Boy, that is an interesting card, isn't it? Because some years, like the Prism Green is like, oh yeah, it's not numbered. There's a lot of them. This is out of 5. Sort of works with the Mavs colors too. It's an interesting card. My story on this card is, so I used to have the Trae Young gold vinyl autograph from the same set. Like 2018 Optic is beautiful. It's far nicer aesthetically than 2018 Prism, in my humble opinion, and in a lot of people's opinions. So I owned 2 cards ever from it. I owned the gold vinyl of Trae Young autograph, and I owned the gold of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, number 2 out of 10. And I owned that back in 2020. I sold that to Coleman Cards because I had to pay for something. Anyway, the Trae was a huge card. I paid $2,500 for it. And I ended up selling it on PWCC back in the day for like $40,000, which was amazing. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy thing for me. But the reason I tell you all of that is that I went to the National in 2019 and I saw the gold vinyl Luka autograph out on the show floor. And I asked the guy what he wanted. And I think if I remember right, he was like, I'm asking 15. And I was like, I'm not a big negotiator, but I really wanted it to pair with the Trae. And I was like, maybe I'll come back. Anyway, fast forward to later in the week, and I had to go home. And as I was headed home, I messaged one of my friends at the show, and I said, hey, will you go ask the guy if he would move the Luka gold vinyl for $10,000? That's what prices were back then. And he went, and it had just sold. And I think it had sold for around $10,000. Like at its height, that card was certainly like, if not $1 million, close to $1 million. So I've always looked back at that as like one of them that really got away. This is the same card. This is that same card, but this is out of 5, right? The gold vinyl is definitely the best card from this set, but it's not like there's a million parallels this year. There's a lot. I don't know how many parallels there are, but out of 5, that's one of the best versions of this card, and it's only at $2,000. Aesthetically awesome. Guarantee you in hand. That's fantastic. Boy, Hoodies has a huge group again. Huge group. The Jerry West from the final year of Exquisite for just over $2,000. Iconic image. KG 11 out of 79. Credentials $1,975. Bryce Harper 1950 for his Bowman Chrome Blue refractor. A lot of people love that blue. Aaron Judge to 25, $1,800. Yeah, there's some big cards this week, guys. $1,275 for the Ichiro 9.5. I love that card. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, and then we get down to, there's a ton of these Topps Kobe rookies. I don't know how many of them they have listed, but I was just sort of going through it before. There's a bunch of them. I love this Barry Bonds. I've talked about it before. I know it's not a licensed card. I know you baseball fans don't love your Panini products always, but man, that autograph with that patch is something. Okay, so we've got 4 cards here to look at in detail. So the story that I'm going to do on this one this week, I think, is how many duels of these guys are there where they're both playing? And then how many duels where they have a piece of jersey? It's not a very big number. Really interested to find that out. This is a great looking card. BGS 8, 10 autograph. I do not mind him in a Wizards uniform. The only autographs they have where they were playing together at the same time are when MJ's a Wizard. And Jordan actually played as many games against Kobe as a Wizard as he did as a Bull. All right, 99 passing the torch. This is one that will require some information on that you might find interesting. You might be dumb to you, but look at the listing right here. Elite passing the torch, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, dual auto, 4 out of 100. But if we look at the card, it's actually 4 out of 1,500. So did Hoodies make a mistake by saying 4 out of 100 in the title? They did not. This is exactly how the card is supposed to be listed, and they crushed it, and they did a good job for their consigner, because you want to tell the story the right way. There are 100 autographs. The first 100 of this card were all signed, but from 101 to 1,500, they are not signed. This, to me, is one of the coolest football cards ever made. You have 2 of the most popular players in their respective eras, maybe the 2 most popular running backs ever, signed on a card just before we lost Walter Payton. And there's only 100 of them, and man, it is a pretty card in hand. It's got everything going for it. It's BGS 8.5, so you're going to save a little bit from a condition perspective. But the autograph is exactly what you want it to. The autographs are exactly what you want them to look like. Look at that autograph right there. Perfect. Look at this autograph right here. They're just what you want them to look like. Now, the card was graded forever ago. Hoodies seems to get a lot of these cards that have been sitting in guys' collections for a long time. Remember, Hoodies has a brick and mortar shop. And so they take some stuff on consignment. They buy some stuff and list it. I don't know what this card is, which one of those things it is, but man, that is a cool piece. I'm going to put that in my top 5 this week, I think. At least it's going to be amongst the group. I might. There's other great Jordan Kobe's, so I'm going to leave that one out, but I did think about it for a sec. I personally think that the select RPAs are some of the more underrated cards in the market. People don't like autographs on stickers. They don't like shiny with patches, but I don't mind it. I think it's cool. I think it's different. It's $8,000 for that Mahomes, and you almost wonder if it would be as much if it didn't even have that patch. It's kind of crazy. And then this Jordan, we wanted to see if we could diagnose from a condition perspective what awful thing might be causing it to be a 6. And after having looked at it for a grand total of 10 seconds, I literally see nothing. I would suggest, if you're looking to bid on this card and feel like, you know what, maybe that is really harsh, because I feel like it really might be harsh, as a lot of PSA graded cards from the 90s are that are graded these days. I would suggest going to the PSA website, typing in this number, and then zooming in really, really close around the edges and corners and everywhere else. But man, this card looks great to me, and it graded a 6. Crazy. Sometimes the grade is off-putting to buyers, and it would be smart to buy it, crack it, and sell it raw. Some people would say, well, if you crack it, you should also say, this was in a 6 holder. I'm not going to tell you what you ought to do as far as that goes. I do think if you know something is altered, you absolutely have to report that. You have to let people know, hey, guys, this card is altered. But if the card is, if you don't know, and it's like, the card looks really good to you, like what I can see on this card, would it shock me if it was in like a 9 holder? No. So there's something that I'm missing, or it's just the upper deck's really harsh on cards like this these days. So anyway. Okay, that is it for MC Sports Cards this week. We're going to we've got the Barry over there as a potential top 5. I just said that's it for MC Sports Cards. Forgive me for that. That's it for hoodies auctions for hoodies this week. And that is done. And that is done. Amazing, amazing auction from hoodies. Let's see. Let me check something real quick. Oh, I'm not going to be doing content on that duel this week. I'm going to be doing it on something else. So forgive me for that stuff that I said that is not going to end up being true. So on the weekly auction, we're only going to spend a second for Goldin because we're going to spend a long time on Goldin's 100. But I want to just look at like the top 10 or 15 cards. The Tracy McGrady Red, PSA 6. This duel, boy, one of these duels last night in the Fanatics Collect went absolutely bananas. And it's like a high enough number that you start wondering, like, is this legit? Are people really spending this money? People want Jordan and Kobe together on the same card, and there's not that many of those out there. So it is what it is. First year UD Black. I want to teach you guys about this. I think you guys are going to like what I have to tell you about that. The Kobe Bryant autograph triple-double out of 2017 Eminence, which was an all Kobe product. Every box had just Kobe cards in it. Hardware MJ, 2023 Lionel Messi Qatar Prism autograph. The Luka Gold Opulence RPA. One of the rarest Kobe rookies in the world that never gets enough love. The Bowman's Best Atomic. We're going to stop there just because we're going to spend enough time on all the other stuff. But I want to point out this Jordan to you. Yes, it's sticker autograph, but it is silver, which is really cool. So what kind of product did this come out of? It's really an interesting question. There was no UD Black in 2006. Despite what this label says, and I don't think PSA is wrong. I think they labeled it the right way. There was not a 2006 UD Black standalone product. What there was other upper deck products that had redemption cards in them. These redemption cards, I worked at a card shop at the time. I remember this like it was yesterday. The redemption cards you'd get out of a pack of or out of like a box of Hardcourt. In fact, I think Hardcourt like had one of these redemptions in every box, if I remember right. You get it out, I can't remember at this point if it was scratch off or if you mailed it in. I should remember that. It must have been scratch off. Yeah, I think it would have been scratch off. They certainly had scratch off redemptions at that point, so that would be the only thing that would make sense. But you would take that and then you'd redeem it, and then Upper Deck would send you this little tiny pack, and the pack said UD Black on the outside. And I remember being like, wait, what is this? The vast majority of these cards were not anything really interesting that came out. You'd open the pack and it would be like a patch card of Ronnie Brewer or some rookie from 2006 that didn't have a lot of interest. But not that infrequently, you'd get a Michael Jordan autograph card. So it was like the ultimate hit or miss one card per pack product. But it wasn't a standalone product. You couldn't go buy packs of UD Black. You had to get them through the redemptions. So super interesting. All right. So that's it. We're gonna call it there for the Goldin Weekly. We're gonna go move to the Alt Weekly, and we're gonna spend like 2 minutes here. So we've seen some of these Kobe's move recently for huge numbers. It always concerns me when I see like them listed several quickly like this, but it can happen for several different reasons. One of the reasons it happens is somebody sees a really big high sale, and I think that one of the ones out of 10 sold for really big money. And then when people see that, they're like, oh, I need to go cash in too. I think there's some of that happens. LeBron's 1-of-1 logo man from National Treasures in a Lakers uniform. Jordan autographed rookie card, always a big story. Let's look at that one closely so we can check out the autograph. Tigers autograph the Players Inc. card from 2001 Upper Deck. This is the same year as the Upper Deck rookie and the SP Authentic rookie that you know about, but it's way rarer than any version of either of those two cards. This one's to 25. You can see down here, there are no only two sales ever. I think they're saying only 2 sales ever for a PSA 10 copy. Very, very tough card to find. A PSA 9 Ant Gold Prism rookie. Really a huge piece. And the SGA white variation of the gold vinyl, and I think this is the real deal. This isn't the white box thing. We got to look at that too. I think that autograph's on card. I love this Steph Kobe duel right here, just because I love both those players and they don't have very many duels. Not that they need to. There's not some great connection between those two players that is like outstanding enough that they should have lots of duels, but I just really like both those players. 10-10 on the LeBron. Jumbo patch auto from 2013 Floss. Remember, he did not have a jumbo patch Floss in 2012. The green from 2023. This is the Yao. Wow, that's a big piece. They love kabooms in Asia. They love Yao in Asia, and this is a 1-of-1. And it might be the only 1-of-1 Yao kaboom. Boy, that's a big card. Really big card. You got to love the Oscar Thompson. We've seen this Kobe sell a few times, but look, it's still a 1-of-1 Kobe autograph patch. Huge auction for alt. Let's look at these last two. So the Jordan autograph here, it is on the card. It's not on a sticker. Gosh, that card looks really good. That's definitely one that people are going to try to get a grade on the card. Back's a little off-centered. Obviously, it's not perfectly mint with those corners. The thing you like about alt here is you can see some of the dark on the corners because of the light background. That's really an interesting piece. And then the SGA, I think this is on card. I'm not sure alt image is going to be good enough for me to be able to tell 100%. I think it is. I wish I could zoom in more, but it is what it is. All right. Now we're going to hit the Goldin 100. You guys ready for the Goldin 100? The Goldin 100 happens just a few times a year, and it's always like crazy, crazy stuff. So we go line by line and take 10 minutes on each of these items. We're not going to do that. We're going to take the next half an hour and just really get through as much of these as we can and talk about how to think about them and why they are what they are and that sort of thing. So, and let's highlight maybe like 10 of the items that we really dive deep on. So we start out with Caitlin Clark's Green Kaboom. Really an interesting card, especially for lot number 1 of the Goldin 100. For the Goldin 100, they chose a Caitlin Clark insert card. That's how big of a deal the card is. It's ahead of a Batman #1 comic for lot number 1. It's ahead of the Kobe Bryant credentials. It's ahead of a 2012 Prism Gold LeBron James, and it's the Caitlin Clark Green Kaboom. So why? Well, I'm not sure that it's right, first off, as far as like the highest dollar item of the auction. That is clear at this point. It's clear that it's not clear which card's going to be the priciest, but the Batman comic and the Kobe and the LeBron, they're all like hundreds of thousands of dollars ahead of the Caitlin. But the Caitlin is a huge piece, both because it's obviously one of her key rookie cards and because Kaboom is as loved as it is right now. It's the green. It's from her rookie year. And because her black prisms are sort of confusing because there's blacks and there's gold vinyls, and because her logo man autos or logo woman autos are confusing because there's 3 of them, I can see somebody making the case that this is her best card. Do I think it's their best card? I personally, well, I don't like it as much as I love some of the other cards, but I have to admit some of those other cards have some problems with them, with not being like the number one thing. Sorry, I'm not being super clear. They have problems in that they have other cards that are associated with them, so it's not clear which one is the one. She's only got one, at least I think, maybe I'm mistaken, I believe she only has one Kaboom green. And it happened to grade a BGS 10. I know they've started to do some things where they have like a horizontal and a vertical. Maybe there's a horizontal green, Caitlin, and I'm mistaken. So if that's true, I apologize. Definitely do that research, but it should be fun to see what it does. I mean, it's already at $180,000, over $180,000 with their BP. So be fun to watch it together. The Batman number 1 in a CGC 7. I'm not going to say a lot here because you guys know this is not where my expertise lies, but certainly one of the more iconic comics of all time. Okay, now a card that I think people will want to talk about. In fact, we're just going to highlight it. We're going to come back and look at it more in detail. The 96 Central Credentials, Kobe Bryant. A Muhammad Ali Fight of the Century versus Joe Frazier robe. Wow. That's amazing. Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali robe. That's a piece of history. Like real legit history. That'll be a fun one to watch. Let me scroll down a little bit so you can see each of them. A card that's been number 1 on my want list or close to number 1 on my want list for 7 or 8 years. I've gotten a lot of questions from people the last week or last month on whether this is a card that I will be bidding on. This is just out of I'd have to give up so much of my collection to be able to bid on this. So I'm not planning on bidding on this. If it didn't get another bid, I would strongly consider it. But it's still, I mean, that's so much money for a card that even saying that out loud makes me go, oh, I've never paid anything close to this for a card. I don't know why. I just had this thing pop up on my side. You guys can't see it, but okay, there we go. It's out of the way. So why is this card at $350,000? Well, LeBron James was the very first player that Panini ever chose to put on the number 1 card in their very first Prism set. He only has a few cards as a member of the Miami Heat where the card is like, oh man, I know that card. And this is the one, right? The line that you'll hear people say is, if LeBron James has a PMG green, this is it. And that might be true. I talked about this last week. I always have to sort of like couch things by sort of acknowledging what is in my collection when there's like some sort of conflict of interest. And I do really give my best efforts to do that. This is one of those times because the other two best cards in the set, which are Steph and Kobe, really undeniably, those are the 3 best cards in the set. I've got both of those other cards. I've got the 1 of 10 Kobe, which is a BGS 9.5 holder, and the 4 of 10 Steph Curry, that's his Olympic jersey number, which is in a PSA 10 holder. I met with a friend at the National, and he was comparing these 3 cards, and I thought the way that he talked about him was really interesting. As it pertains to this LeBron, I think the question is, how collectible is LeBron in the long term? That's really the story that I think that the people should ask here. The set is clearly, it's the set, right? 2012 Prism Gold is the set, and LeBron James is the number 1. Like, he's the number 1 card in the set. He's literally number 1. Would you rather have this or an exquisite RPA to 99? Some people are going to think that's an insane question. You just have to take the exquisite, right? I've said for several years I'd rather have this card. I had a conversation with some people years ago where they were saying that they would way rather have an 08 gold refractor, which is the chalk toss, number to 50 than this card. And I was just like, I just think that's insane. It's certainly like one of the more iconic LeBron cards, the Chalk Toss is. I think it's more iconic than this one is. But the difference between 10 and 50 is just so big. So if you want like a really rare LeBron card, let's say your objective is to discover, like, I want to own a LeBron card that's really different. Well, if you go to his rookie year, it's pretty tough because everybody knows all of that stuff. And everybody's like, a lot of people have like passed it around. He has all of these different exquisite cards that people love. People love those cards. I'm not saying anything negative about them. They love them, but they do come up for auction fairly often. For example, like, how many times are you going to see limited logos out of 75 before you see another one of these? It's probably a lot. And how many times are you going to see an autograph patch out of 100 compared to these? It's a lot. How many times are you going to see an RPA out of 99 before you see these? It's a ton. A scripted swatches, you're going to see that one way more. What rookies of LeBron are you going to see less frequently than this card? They're not cards that people know. Right? This, what it has going for it is it's not just rare and out of 10. It's from the set. There's only 10 of the card, and it's from the set, and it's the first card. It's the first Prism card ever made. The number 1 card from the number 1 set. And they only made 10 golds, and they didn't make a black. I just don't know what else more to tell you guys. Like that. I also think that LeBron's Heat era is the era that I will remember him most. I loved him playing the heel. I loved how good those Heat teams were. It's at $350,000 with 5 days to go. I've had people tell me, oh, this is definitely going to sell in the millions. And I've had people tell me they think it's done at 350. I don't have a clue. What I would always ask on a card like this is, who is the bidder? I'm not the bidder on this one. I'm not one of the bidders. I'm not going to go for it. I sort of feel like I've missed it at this point. Would it be nice to have it to add to the, to the pairing with Steph and Kobe? Yes, but what would it cost me? I mean, it might cost me like a huge percentage of my collection to get it. And I don't think I'm going to do it, but we'll see. Maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I will go for it. So then the next card number 6, is this dual Wemby and LeBron. And the story here is, for me, is that it's a rookie Wemby and it's game worn because it's flaws. I'll prove it to you, by the way. We'll look at it real close. I love this card. We're going to spend a while talking about it. I should have really like highlighted in on LeBron. I saw this in person, by the way. I got to see it from the owner during the National. It's everything that you want it to be. It's beautiful. Okay. Star. Oh, star in an 8. Yeah, let's talk about that one too. How am I doing on time? As usual, I'm taking way longer than I should, of course. So 1986 complete set, all signed, stickers included, and David Stern on the checklist. Wow, that's huge. PSA 10. What would you rather have? The PSA 10 complete set, no stickers. The autograph set with stickers. For me, it's the autograph set all day long. It's really an interesting question, okay? You get to, like, let's just say money's no object to you. You get to decide what you want. Would you rather have a complete set of 1986 Fleer that's been signed, and some of the cards are not going to be mint or close to mint condition, but every card in the set has been signed, including the stickers, right? Including Michael Jordan. Or would you rather have the full set, not the stickers, but every card in the set, and they're all Gem 10 from PSA? First off, both things are a crazy accomplishment, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking the 86 autograph set by a mile. That's just me maybe. And I know there's some hesitancy on the autographs. I know that people will say things like, but how do we know that they're real? How do we know that PSA didn't make a mistake? How do we know that PSA didn't make a mistake grading some of the PSA 10s? Like, it's, once they authenticate the autograph and people actually believe it's real, they see PSA slab on it, sort of adds something to it and makes people feel like, okay, that's it. It's real. It is. And so, with all that said, I'm taking the autograph set by a mile, but right now it's less expensive. Or would you rather have an unopened box? No, an unopened box would be really cool. It would be, but I would take that third out of the three personally. All right, a PSA 8 champ ticket, really a high grade on this card. And a beautiful piece. The autograph and the way that it shines because of that holofoil, it feels so different than the regular card. It's light years ahead of the regular card. The black finite Josh Allen from his rookie year. The black finite Jaden Daniels. That's the variations rookie, maybe a better looking card than the regular one. The black finite Drake May. A few really big Caitlin Clark cards. A Lamine Yamal game-used jersey. Some huge items. And there always are at the Goldin 100. It's always huge, huge stuff. Some more Yamals. Some video games. Some big video games. Look at the prices on those things. Some huge comics. Howie Morent's rookie card, the Babe Ruth of hockey, 1923 V145. I'd love to know that story. Love to do some content on that. That's an awesome card. Extraordinarily rare Michael Jordan debut ticket stub. PSA 1, Pop 1. Okay, Pop 1. There's going to be some higher, I believe. Printed on Chicago Blackhawks stock. Well, that's interesting. Okay, page 3. Page 3 is where we get some of my favorite cards in the auction. Look at this. Look at this Jordan here. The Interlake in a 9 with 10 autos at 67 grand. The Jordan signed force card, numbered out of 100. I want to look at that one. There's something about that one that I want to understand. PSA 10 Kobe Chrome Refractor. Always a big card, but especially in a 10, it's just a very small population. And let's look at that one. We'll take a strong dive into that Kobe. The Pippen, number to 11, essential credentials now. Would you rather have that or the Jordan Future to 72? I would take the Pippen. I would take the Pippen for sure. And this is one of the best Scottie Pippen cards on the planet. And I know we've seen a few credentials now sell recently, so maybe people have forgotten that. But that is a huge piece. And, oh, wow. I didn't know this was up. AI's first one of one, and it's in an old BGS holder. This is going to be one of the talks of the auction. I might be wrong, but I've got to look at that. A Weber Green. I did know this one was up. I didn't know about this Iverson, but the Weber Green is enough to stop you in your tracks for sure. Arguably the very best Chris Webber card in existence. We're going to take a good look at that one too. Some other cards you know pretty well, I think. This Jeter. There was one of these recently that was found in a pack that had been graded and then cracked out, and this Jeter was inside. I wonder if it's the same card. I might look at that one closely. Okay, probably my two favorite cards in the auction are right here. The Wilt Incredible. The story with the Wilt Incredible level 2 is that it's easily the rarest Wilt Chamberlain pack inserted autograph ever. They made really two products with Wilt autographs in them, and they were right before he died. The retro set, which had Incredible, and then the Century Legends set, which had the Epic signatures. The Epic signatures has two versions. One's gold, one's regular. But what's interesting is that the gold is just not that much rarer than the regular. If I remember right, it's like there's like 175 or something of the regulars and 100 of the golds. So the gold's a rarer card, but not that much rarer. People still think that it should sell for a ton more money, but from a rarity perspective, it's pretty close. This set, the retro set, is not close. And actually, we're going to highlight it. We'll talk more about it. This Kobe card, I have some history with. I have some history in that I was negotiating with the owner of this card. He asked for $15,000. I believe I need to look back at this. I think he asked for 15 grand. This is like 2020. He had it on eBay. It was in a giant thick brick slab. This is the card though, 100%. This card right here. I think I said yes to 15,000 and then he ghosted me. And then I never heard back from him. And it's just a killer because I've always loved this card so much, but it's sort of dead to me now because I know that I should have had it for 15 grand. I also had to make it even worse, the 8 of 8 was owned by the same guy for years and years. And I contacted him over the course of like 6 months, a dozen times, maybe more. And then finally he engaged with me and he sold it to me. He said, I'll give it to you for 80 grand if you'll do that. And I said, it's a deal. And then I posted on Instagram. I said, guys, I picked up the biggest Kobe card. I'm so excited for it. And I got a message from my friend Spinatron. And he said, what did you pick up? And I said, oh, it's just a big card that's just out there or something. And then he said something that made me go, oh no, something wrong has happened here. So he had already sold the card to Spinatron. The owner did. He had said to Spino, hey, you can have it for, I think it was 75 or something. And this is the 8 of 8 copy we're talking about now. And unbeknownst to me, this guy had already sold the card to Spino. Then he's saying to me, I could have it for 80. And I'm like, yes. And so he's like, oh, I'm going to sell it to you now. But Spinatron's like, you already said you were going to sell it to me, send it to me. And when Spino and I sort of identified that he and I were the two bidders, we talked about it. And it's sort of this hard spot because you want the card. Like I really wanted the card a lot. I've wanted one of these Kobe's for so long. I love this card so much. And the patch on this one's really phenomenal. But with the 8 of 8, the 8 of 8's the best card because it's that serial number, right? 8 of 8. First stamped serial numbered autograph patch card ever made. So Spino's, made this offer and been accepted, and I've made this offer and been accepted. And then Spino told me when he made the offer, and it turned out he had actually made the offer before I did, and his offer had been accepted before mine. Some people would say I still should have fought. I still should have tried to get it, but I'm not willing to play those games with people. Specifically with the guy who is selling both of us the card. Spino did nothing wrong at all. Zero. In fact, to his credit, he sent me a card to say, hey, I'm sorry for how this went down, which was a card that I ended up selling. I wanted to keep it. It was a great card. It was a Kobe 03 Exquisite quad with Shaq and Malone and I think Peyton. And I wanted to keep it, but I ended up selling it because there was other things that I needed. And to Spino's credit, he sent it to me. But I've always wanted one of these. I've been bridesmaid, I think, on 3 different ones. But to me, this is the one that I really wanted. And to see it now, this is going to sell for well into the 6 figures. I would guess this is probably a $200,000 card, maybe more. I could be wrong. Again, I could be wrong. But I love this piece. This to me is like these 2 cards right here. The Wilt and the Kobe are the 2 best cards in the whole auction. And which is crazy because we're like on like lot 61 and 62, but I think these are the 2 best cards in the whole auction. That's what I think. But what do I know? Okay, Tiger SP. What is this? Gold PSA 10. Huge card, 95 grand. The big 3, 165. Ultimate Collection set. Jeez. 03 Chrome case. Wow. Jordan 05 limited logos. He doesn't have that many, guys. This one's BGS 9.5. Goodness gracious. 3 big Jordan exquisites. Big Kobe exquisite. Another card that I just keep getting messages about right here. Well, actually, what is this Jordan? Jordan autograph from 06. 1 of 1. I've never seen this card before. It's a sticker auto, but it is NBA licensed. Great looking image of Jordan from the back shooting a jumper. The days of Steph Gold Prism or Gold Chrome rookies are finding them are behind us, I think. It's become one of the cards of the whole era. My big face is in the way, sorry. So even when you get a PSA 6, you're looking at over 6 figures. How much over 6 figures? I don't know. How grade sensitive for people? I don't know. What I do know is this, and I can say this definitively. You look at the whole Chrome era. You ask the question, what are the most recognizable cards? There's really 5 of them that stand out. It's the Chrome LeBron. It's the first one's the 96 Kobe, the Steph, the Chalk Toss, and the Kobe with LeBron guarding him. Those are the 5 that everybody recognizes, right? Only 4 of those have gold refractors. All of them are numbered to 50. The Steph is the one that's the most important to him. Does that make sense? So where the LeBron is not his most important card. It's not. It's the exquisite card. Sorry. You might not like it. That's the truth. People like his exquisite more than they like his gold chrome refractor. Even though his gold chrome refractor is a great card. For LeBron, it's his secondary card. For Kobe, it's the Kobe card. It's the Kobe, but there's no gold. There's not. There's a great refractor, and find one that's got normal coloring. Maybe that's like finding a gold these days. That's why I haven't been willing to sell mine. But yeah, like this for Steph, there's a gold and then the other two cards are not as iconic as those first three. The first three are head and shoulders above it. So for me, this is the best gold chrome refractor ever made. It is. Sorry, you might not like it. That's what I think. I think it's better than the LeBron. Not because LeBron, and I actually don't know if it would sell for more than LeBron. I don't know that right now. But I've said this for years. I like the Steph more than I like the LeBron because LeBron has the exquisite. And you could say, well, Steph has the National Treasures, and the National Treasures is a great card, but it's not the Steph card. To me, this is the Steph, and for LeBron, it's the exquisite. Hope that makes sense. That's my take on it. You might totally disagree. That's totally fine. That is what I think, though. Okay, I've been going for an hour and a half. I'm going to fly through this page a lot faster than I should. I love this triple logo man because you've got three guys from the 90s. I wish it was three from the same rookie class. That's not quite right. But Ray Allen, Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady on the same one. The LeBron patch here is fantastic. Prism basketball case. Ooh, that's fun. That's really fun. I haven't seen a 2012 Prism basketball case sell in a while. The orange Judge, huge piece. The Pele, 1 of 1 from 2014, the first year of soccer Prism. Ooh, that's a big card. And it might be like an insert. Black Stars. I think it is an insert. You guys know better than me. Didn't we see one of these sell recently? The gold Messi. Maybe we saw the 1 of 1. Noir Messi's just gorgeous. Great looking Mahomes. What's this one out of? This one's out of 99. This is even a better looking Mahomes, though. Cracked Ice is amazing. There's that Kobe case of eminence. Gosh, our hobby's so weird. I remember when this came out, I was like, gosh, I don't even want a case that's just Kobe. That's so weird. I think these were 11 or 12 grand a box. You just buy it and then open it and then hold it for a few years, and it's worth like 10 times as much. Just wild. So you didn't even have to find anything in the box, right? It's just whatever the box is, you keep it together. It sells for a ton. Shohei Kanji auto, always a huge deal. Bobby Witt, 3 of 5. The Shimmer autograph's a big deal. Oh, this is cool. Both 1 and 2 of the LeBron tags from 2023. That's really neat. What's that at? 60 grand. There's like a small group of just tag lovers, guys that are just like, they love tags more than anything. I've gotten to know some of those guys. It's kind of fun. LeBron gold, 3 out of 10 in a PSA 8. Oh man, check out this Shohei. That is awesome. Check out this Ellie De La Cruz. That is awesome too. Okay, let's go to the last page where we have just a few cards. And they are non-sports. I didn't even think about the top 5 today. I might not do it. Okay. It's been going an hour and 32 minutes. I'm going to give each of these 1 minute. So what's the story here? Here's the question to ask on this Kobe Bryant card. Okay. Not everybody loves Kobe's rookie issues. And it's because, look at his top 3. Okay. Top 3 Kobe issues. Chrome Refractor, Credentials, and then his Showcase Legacies. Well, the Showcase Legacies, there's 3 different versions of, and they confuse people. People like the Rose Zero, but there's still the other 2. And it's numbered at 150, but there's another parallel. It's like, there's the regular Rose Zero card. Some people are not going to say that they think that is one of those 3 best Kobe's. I think it clearly is. And it's obviously numbered the lowest. So that's number 1, but there's problems with it. There's reasons that people don't love it. Aesthetically, I think in person especially, it's amazing. And then you have the other 2. The Chrome Refractor is clearly the most iconic. It is gold. It is, excuse me, forgetting what I'm doing for a second. It is not gold. It is not, if it's in its right shape, it's not green, but it does have the greening issue. And then there's the Credentials, which I think of the 3 is the easiest one to look at and be like, man, I love that card. But the Credentials comes with problems too. The Credentials has a condition issue to it. And as we look at the pop report here in a second, you're going to go, oh, I see what Adam's talking about. Because from the 90s, most stuff is like, you sort of know what you're going to get, or it's fairly consistent. But like the PMG greens and reds the year after this one, the Credentials product is the Credentials card, I should say, is like a very sensitive set with a lot of issues. And I'm going to bring this up right here, and you're going to see it in the pop report. First off, though, you can see this card has its image scanned here. I believe, based on what I know about it, this is a new holder. I think this card has been reholdered. It was graded originally back in the 2s. They have reholdered it since then. It is a pop 4. There are obviously none higher. And if we come into here and we click on search and we just type in Kobe, we will get the Kobe Credentials. And you will see that of the 499, there's 499 cards, remember. 102 times this card has been graded. 102. There's very few cards from the 90s where you're going to have 30% of the population graded authentic. But Adam, why are they graded authentic? Why wouldn't people just put the numeric grade on there? There's a couple of reasons. One is that they would be assessed such a low grade that people don't want to do that. And then the other thing is, I think from what I understand, PSA in some cases is like, I'm not sure if this card fits regulation sizes, if it doesn't fit the regulation size, or it's slanted, cut wrong, or weird on the top. Sometimes they're not going to be willing to assess a numeric grade. But 30 authentics, 1 3, 1 4, 5 5s, 12 6s. Then you get up into the upper stuff here. You get 8 7s, 19 8s, 21 9s, and 4 10s. This is obviously one of those 4 10s, if I can find it. This is one of those 4 10s. So where does one of the 4 10s of this card rank amongst all of Kobe Bryant's greatest cards? And actually, before I get to that question, let's talk about the actual condition. I've heard people say, hey, it's off left to right. It certainly is, but those are really wide borders. Like, what is this, 45, 55? To me, it fits within the standard. I also heard somebody say that it's diamond cut, or that it has a little bit of tilt to it. It probably does, but it's just a teensy bit. You got to look really close. PSA assessed it a 10. And to a lot of people, that's all that matters. It's true. When's the last time you saw one of these hit auction? I don't remember it ever hitting auction. I remember one selling privately like 5 years ago. So, okay, now back to the question that I asked incorrectly before. Where does this fit as you compare this to the other great Kobe rookies? I said the other great Kobe's of all time. That's a hard question. But let's compare it to the other great rookie cards. Well, we know he has 2 BGS 10 Black Label Chrome Refractors. Those are really the only other cards that I think you could even put in the conversation. Would you rather have one of these or a PSA 10 Chrome Refractor? One of these. What if the PSA 10 Chrome Refractor was totally clear? Maybe, but then you're really splitting hairs. Would you rather have this or any of the Showcase Rose Zeros? No, I'd rather have this. It's this and the 2 BGS Black Labels. That's the conversation. I think those are the 6 best Kobe rookie cards in existence. And with the other 2, with the chromes, you do have to worry about the color. You don't have to worry about it here. I love the image of Kobe. Actually, a couple things to point out about this card. If you hold it up to the sky or hold it up to the light, you see the clouds in the sky shining through, which is really cool. One thing you may not notice, but you will now that I tell you, is if you look at the back of the card, do you notice that Lakers is still going the right direction? See, think about this from like a real creating the card perspective. They're showing the front of Kobe Bryant. And then the card is see-through with the other image of Kobe, the image of Kobe being like mirrored. So you see his legs are over here on the right. They're going to move to the left. There they go. His legs are now going this way. Well, this shouldn't be facing forwards, right? See what Fleer Skybox had to do to make this card. I've never heard them talk about this, but it's obvious. They had to take the image of Kobe, which is now reversed, and they had to make Lakers still work on the back. It's numbered to 499. There's only 4 PSA 10s in existence. And aesthetically, I would argue, though I just sold my PSA Authentic 2 months ago, I would argue it's the nicest looking Kobe rookie. I don't think it's the most iconic. That's obvious. I do still have my chrome refractor, and I have it because it's one of the very few that has really nice color. And I've gotten some crazy offers on it lately. So there's definitely some interest in that arena. But man, I would do a lot of things to get this card in my collection. It's not for everybody. Not a lot of people don't like scarcity that's caused by conditional scarcity. And I understand that. I don't have a lot of those cards in my collection, but this is one of the Kobe Bryant cards, certainly one of his rookies, one of the Kobe rookies. And there's very few cards that are as recognizable as this one from the era. And if you were collecting in that era, you definitely know what I'm talking about. This is one of the best products ever made. Okay, I took too long on that, but I love that card. I do. So what I wanted to show you guys here, just to prove that what I was saying is right, the enclosed game worn / used material is guaranteed by Panini. So Victor Wembanyama rookie year game worn piece, along with LeBron James. So the story on this one, we've talked about a few other duels. A lot of people are, I think a few people are looking to capitalize on the giant exquisite duel sell. Here's the question I would ask on this. How many dual exquisites do you have of these two guys? We know of the one that just sold for $13 million. This is not that. Those are not logo men in the middle. Those are big red and yellow, four big pieces of jersey, 2 red and 2 gold, 2 yellow. Kobe's do look different though. One's like mesh, one's something else. And it's numbered out of 5. But does this card benefit from the dual logo men auto? I think it does. Very few cards do, I think, really benefit from it. I think this one does. I just don't know that there's very many duels of these two that are as nice as this card. Like maybe less than 10 in the whole world. And the other thing that I'd point out here, because I have seen these in person. This holofoil throughout here is really nice. 06 Exquisite's probably my least favorite year personally, but there's some things about the set that I really enjoy. I wanted to look down here because 06 actually has some emboss on some of the cards, but where there's 2 signatures being applied to this card, my guess is that they kept emboss totally off of it. I think they did. That bottom corner is obviously not perfect. It's a little bit surprising to see it have an 8 with that corner. I'll bet this corners are 7.5. Yep, I'm right. But the rest of the card they've said warrants a higher grade. So the whole thing is an 8. This is one to watch. This is one to watch on Saturday for sure. And it will be one of my favorite cards of the week for sure. Okay, I want to dive in. Oh gosh, we're low on time here. I want to dive in on this one to the pop report because I still don't think people really understand the pop report for the Jordan star. Wait, are you guys looking at the serial number on this one? Huh. That is an old slab number, guys. That is a very old slab number. Okay, there's several stories to tell here. Where am I? Am I in the right place? Okay. Let's look at this listing real quick. Let's see what Goldin tells us. Grade in an 8. Hall of Famer. Yes, we know all the stuff about MJ. The piece is much more scarce. It's been reported that 3,000 were produced. Around the fiery periphery. Let's see. Okay. So Goldin's write-ups are always really good, but there's nothing in this one that I'm really looking for. Okay. Let's go back. Let's look at this. So this is a pop 30 with 7 higher. And the 7, I think is it 3 9s and 4 8.5s? We're going to find out. There's 2 things here to talk about, though. 2 big parts of the story that we need to look at. So there's Jordan 101. Yep, 3 9s and 4 8.5s. That's what I thought. One qualified 8. So this is one of the 37 best Jordan rookies or Jordan 84 stars that PSA has ever graded. That's a huge deal. And take it from this perspective, guys. If it's one of the 34 best copies of that card, and there are 300 and something 86 Fleers that have been graded a 10, and you were to assume that they were like a similar type of card, and just like which one, you want a top 10% or top whatever percent of each, like it's hard to compare this card to an 86 Fleer. There's not a, there's not a subgroup of 86 Fleers where you're like, this would compare to that. But this one right now is sitting at a price that's less than those. So my question for you would be, would you rather have one of the 37 best star MJs or one of the best 300 86 Fleer MJs? I would take this card. I would. Even when you include all of the Beckett graded ones and stuff, you're not going to get anywhere near to 300. You're not. You might be like, well, there's some BGS 8s. Yeah, but a BGS 8 and a PS 8 are different cards at this point. They're not the same, which presents a difficulty for gem rate, right? Because gem rate for the Universal Pop Report. In fact, let's look at that real quick. Let's have our gem rate moment as we wind down this episode as we get toward the end. So if we come into gem rate and we click on Universal Search, and we go to 1984 star Jordan 101, you can see 1,767 have been graded to date. And if you look right here, so we're looking at the 8 line and above. So there's 30 PSA 8s, there's 304 for BGS. So if you include them, the BGS 8s, then there's way more, all right? Like way more than the 86 Fleer and PSA 10. Like twice as many. Almost exactly twice as many when you add them all up. Well, actually more than that even. So if you were to include that, then you would say, well, hey, this is nowhere near a PSA 10 Jordan 86 Fleer. But the difference is that, again, the BGS 8s and 85s, they're just not in the same, they're not in the same world as this card is from a condition perspective. At least that's how people perceive it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out here, though, although, man, the corners here look really good. A lot of these have really poor corners. This one's really nice. See a little bit of white, but you can always see white on these. Always, always. These look really sharp. The thing that I love about this card and that we haven't even talked about is look at that serial number. Look at that cert number. This card was graded a long time ago. And what should go off in your mind, it should be like, well, Adam, how was this card graded a long time ago? PSA didn't start grading these till recently. That's true, except for one very important fact. There was a short period of time in the very early days of PSA where they did grade 1984 star cards, and they only graded a few Jordans. I think we're looking at one of them. And then what's happened since then is they have reholdered it, because it's obviously in a new holder. But when you reholder something, when PSA reholder something, what they do is they give it the same cert number and everything stays the same. They just change the holder. Presents really well. I think everything I just talked about with it being an early grade is really interesting. I'm not sure that's positive or a negative. To me, it's a huge positive. Like a huge positive, because nobody's touched this card in a long time. If I'm not mistaken, this card was graded before PSA or even before Beckett ever started grading star Jordans. I kind of want to tell a story on this one now and do a bunch of research, see if I get to do it or not, but I would love to. So this one, what I wanted to point out here is it says that it's autographed on the back. Some of the SPX stuff from these early days, you don't get the word autographed on the back. You get like a sticker. I always just sort of am like, is this a camp autograph? Is it impact autograph? I want to know it's impact. And man, I love this. One thing that I think is funny, look how Kemp is sort of a flat hologram, whereas the other guys all move. Like if you tilt the card side to side, their heads will turn. I don't think Kemp's does. Maybe I'm mistaken, but that's what it looks like from this image. 7 of 100, 8 with a 9 auto. Yeah, this is a huge piece. Huge piece. Okay, Kobe, I'll let you assess the green. You know more about that than I do. Card's been in that holder a long time, though. Long time. It's one of the earlier graded cards by PSA. I should say hasn't been in this holder. This card has been reholdered. It was originally graded years and years and years ago. Not a lot of PSA 10s. Check the pop report. For Scottie Pippen, other than the PMG green and maybe his first couple of 101s, this is his best card in existence. I love this, especially in a 9. Was graded not too recently. What is that? 7 years ago, 6 7 years ago, but still in the Lighthouse case, which they've had now for quite a while, and a card that's going to be one of my favorite cards of the whole week for certain. Look at that cert number. Should we find out when this has been graded? I love this. Beckett. Let me do this real quick. Beckett graded card lookup. I think this was graded in like 2004, something like that. 2544114. July of 2003, even earlier than I thought. So I'll give you the pros and the cons here. I'll just give it to you straight. I own one of the cards from the set. For those of you who don't know, I own the John Stockton from the set. Here's what's great about it. It's the very first Allen Iverson 1 of 1. Period. End of story. It was made before Showcase was in 97. So it's the first Allen Iverson 1 of 1 card. It's a pretty easy story to tell. 1 of 1s have become one of the biggest things in the hobby, and this is the very first Allen Iverson. It is the very first Allen Iverson 1 of 1 in existence. It's an iconic image. He wasn't a rookie. He was a second-year player. But, man, Iverson was so popular at this point. It's absolutely huge. It's crazy to see it at auction. There's very few Iversons in the whole world I'd rather have than this. The other Iverson that sold semi-recently that sort of compares to this is the out of 3 Credentials. That card sold for a lot of money. That was a huge, huge sale. I'm not sure how this will compare to that. I don't know if this can get to that level because it's an ultra and people don't think about it the same way, but I really like this card a lot. I don't want to say which one's better, but I really like this card a lot. It's just so neat that it's the first 1 of 1. Here's the other downside. It looks, I think, identical to the Platinum. If you compare this to the Platinum, I've never done it in hand with my Stockton. I've never had a Stockton Platinum. I just have the 1 of 1. I think it's identical on the front. The only difference is on the back. And this is where the fact that it's in an old BGS holder really is meaningful to me. Because here's what we know. Some of the sets had extra, some of the one, and please don't stop listening to me halfway through this because this is important. For Fleer, some of the sets had extra sheets that had been produced that were then taken at the time of the bankruptcy and cut and hand or numbered and were done so in a way where they are indistinguishable to the original card that came out of the pack. This has happened in a number of sets. 97 Ultra is not one of those sets. There's only 1 copy of each card that has ever been discovered. And does that matter? To me, it matters a lot. It matters a crazy ton. It matters a ton, guys. Because you don't need to question whether there's another Allen Iverson 1 of 1 Ultra from 97. There's just this one. And you can say, well, I don't like that it looks like the Platinum, and I think it would be cool if it was a different color. Yeah, me too, for sure. But it really tells some of the story of how we progressed as a hobby. The next year, we had the Ultra 1 of 1s with a purple background, and they were the only cards with a purple background. Ironically, those cards we do know that there's more than one of. There's 2 copies of those cards, if I remember correctly, just for basketball. I don't know about the other sports. So for me, this is one of the best Allen Iverson cards in existence. I feel that way. When I had the chance at the Stockton, I probably overpaid. I just didn't care. I just had to have that card because how often do you get the chance to own your favorite player's first 1 of 1? And again, it's not a random 1 of 1 insert of something. It's like a beloved 97 product from the year of all the innovation. I don't think Ultra 1 of 1s from 97 get the love they should. Again, I own one of the cards. Okay, we're officially out of time. The Weber, I'd love to look at the population on it. I'd love to see where it fits and how it fits with other greens. I'd love to know if this is the Jeter that came out of the pack recently. I've already talked at length about this wilt. This is one of my favorite cards in the whole world, and I've always wanted one, and it's going to sell for so much more than what it's at right now, unfortunately. If it doesn't, I will be winning it, despite the fact that I cannot afford it. It's not going to go for that price, though, I promise. I love this card. I love so many things in this auction, though. So many things in this auction. My top 5's totally broken this week. Maybe my favorite card of the whole auction I don't even have up here, which is the Kobe Ultimate from 2000. I love that card. I love that card. I love this card. I love this card. The Goldin 100 is just freaking crazy. And all of the big stuff in it is like, oh my goodness. There's several things that really get me, though. And again, the Kobe Ultimate, this piece, and that one. Like, those are, to me, 4 of the coolest cards you'll see at auction the entire year. And I am privileged to be able to talk about them on this show. But more so that I get to make content on them during this week. I hope I get to make content on all of them. We'll see how much Goldin lets me do this week. But yeah, I'm excited to do those. Make sure you check out at the Real 27 guy on Instagram. That's me. That's where I do my reels. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, doing all the things that you guys do. I'm privileged that I get to do this. This gets to be my job. Is insane, and I'm still grateful for it. But thank you guys for watching. Sorry this was a long one. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great week. And until next time, happy collecting.